slowing down and making no time. I gotta keep it rolling. Those in the windshield wipers snapping out the tempo, playing perfect rhythm with the song on the radio. I gotta keep it rolling.
Hello, what is up, everybody? How are you doing? Happy Monday, February 19th. God, time is just flying by this year. I don't even know what I've done so far. I am obviously joined here today by Mr. Mike Hruby. You guys all know Mike. If you don't, you will hear soon. But Mike and I are working together on trying to get as much as we can to help you guys out. And I think a lot of you guys know this stuff. Even off the camera when Mike's not around, I've talked to you guys about this stuff and what we're trying to do. So I think between us, Mike and I have come up with a pretty good idea. Everybody here can do it. And before I get into it, though, let me just say thank you, Mike, for joining me. And hopefully we'll get this point across to you guys real good today. So, I guess let me start with this. So we're going to talk a little bit about Doordash in just a second, but we're going to keep it very short. But I just want to use that as the example of how bad, and I think all of you understand in the gig app market, but this is for traditional gig workers. This is for writers, freelancers, self-employed, whatever. But it's also really, today's is really based to get you gig app workers on board with this new idea. I hope all of you will participate. It's super simple. And like Mike's I think it came to us because Mike's legislation is super simple. It's saying I'm responsible for what I want to do. I understand it and I take this on myself, but I want to stay independent. Okay, so when I was thinking about super simple, why isn't it super? Could every one of you make a 30 to 60 second video? And I'm not talking about just content creators. I'm talking about drivers on every platform. Could you make a 30 to 60 second video in your car, just with your phone, nothing fancy, no bells and whistles, just you, and speak to, in a positive manner, why you like being an independent contractor, working these apps, why you like multi-app, whatever it is that you love about it. The main thing is to make it a positive thing. Did I just say that right, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, the main thing is to make it positive. Like, I like independent contractor because, or I like being independent because I like to multi-app. Multi-apping wouldn't be allowed if independent contractorship on these apps were gone. You'd be working for one. So I like it for that. I like it because I have a kid. I like it because I never know when I can work. And sometimes I can't sleep in the middle of the night and I get up and I work for 3 hours, whatever it is. But all of these things are things that I think for a long time, a lot of us took for granted. But as I was telling Mike before we started here today, this is something that I think a lot of people are finally at that pinnacle. Even a lot of the Doordashers, which I'm gonna hit on in just a second, but even you guys who are like, well, the pay's gone down, but still really good. I think you're finally at that breaking point. You're seeing this is crap, and how it works is junk. I mean, I got to tell you guys, I was explaining to Mike the tier system backstage, and he was like, "What?" I mean, he's like, "What? I mean, this is the Doordash thing. I've talked about this many times. Doordash has, they have Top Dasher, Diamond Dasher, this, that, the other. Your acceptance rate matters. So you guys all know me. I won't play that game. I multi-app and I do a lot of courier. So I do a lot of last mile courier services that are completely transparent, don't have acceptance rate. And I know what I'm getting into when I step into it. It's how it should be. But a lot of these apps now not only are using the trickery they used to, like, hey, there's a $2 base pay on this Doordash order, and there's a tip of $2, but it might be more. Okay, first of all, you don't even know what you're working for. Second of all, now there's tiers. Now there's the diamond people getting all the top ones, and me and the many people who sit under 20% and stuff. They aren't, we're not seeing barely anything. Luckily, I don't rely on Doordash. But as I said on 13 Minutes this week, and if you haven't watched it, go watch it. I am convinced that DoorDash isn't, I mean, they're not giving you a W-2 yet, but I'm shocked because I'm convinced they are an employee model, straight up. They have now shown control over you. They don't let you use any third-party tools that would help you do your job better. They're making acceptance rating matter, which on every other app is just a psychological trick. And if you're a newbie, thank you for joining. But I will tell you, other than DoorDash, that acceptance rating doesn't matter for the few apps that use it, like Curry and others don't. But it doesn't matter. It's just there to trick your head. Like, why is that looks really low? I should bring that up. It's just a trick. It doesn't hurt you or help you. But on DoorDash, they specifically make it matter. And they're saying if you're over this, you're going to see the good offers. If you're over this, you'll see the decent offers. If you're under that, you're going to get whatever's left over, period. Now, most people are under and aren't in those programs. And to me, that kind of control is employee-employer. Is it not? Am I wrong? I don't know what you think about this, Mike. I know you're still trying to take all this in, but I'm just curious as to your thoughts on what we've talked about so far and what we talked about backstage about DoorDash. Now, remember, Mike's been doing this traditional gig economy stuff forever, an independent contractor. So he's coming at it from a different angle, but I've tried to bring him up to speed on how horrible DoorDash has got.
Well, the platforms are a huge opportunity in themselves. The idea of being able to do work, identify work, find it, do it, collect for it promptly is the best improvement in the economy probably for all people since about 1865. So 100 and round numbers, 160 years. This is the big innovation. And there are a lot of hands getting into it thinking, oh, I can pull some money out of this. I can have some influence. And the goodness is being diluted and retrieved by people who haven't really earned that power. And so somewhere, people who are very influential with the platforms have said, why don't you just kind of lean on them a little and we can make more money? And it sounds like detached investors to me are, they don't really care what happens. They want quarterly earnings to go up. Not an accusation. It's just a sense of it. So I think what the drivers probably would benefit from is more collaborative work with each other to help improve, the negotiations over the terms and conditions. I can guarantee you that if you don't speak up, the government is planning on stepping in and on behalf of your needs, taking over control. And then you've got a government boss and you've got a government job and you are a taxi driver. And if you've taken a taxi, you know how good those people are at treating their customers well and living a life that they can tolerate. It's going to be a degradation. So plain and simple, this is Steve has come up with a terrific idea. I gave it a few tweaks. He was the main inspiration for this. It fits with our desire to put forward a legislative solution that the drivers can get behind and say, yes, we want to have an expression in federal labor law that we can select the ability to work for ourselves and choose the work, just like Steve said, freely choose the work that we want to do. So I hope that says that I'm, sounds like being supportive of this and finding ways to work together for these ends.
I'll just do one off the top of my head, you guys, like pretend like it's me recording right now. I'll show you how I would do mine. Mine will be different than yours, but I am Steve. And again, first name I think is just fine. I am Steve. I am from Denver, Colorado. I am an independent contractor and would like to remain one. I work gig apps. I work multiple gig apps. I multi-app. That term is familiarized now. So I multi-app. So I need the ability to be able to flexibility put myself when I want to work, but also to be able to juggle these apps. However, I also do laser light shows. And sometimes there's 6-7 weeks in between a show. I need the ability to come home and be able to work. No W-2 allows that. And so I love how I work. I love how I earn, and I want to remain to be able to do so.
Perfect. What is that?
I mean, now
40?
that's mine.
Yeah.
From that, you guys should be able to derive yours, even if it's just gig apps. Hit on the multi-app thing. I multi-app because if once that word gets more and more out there, especially if you explain it, I multi-app on this, and this platform. That means that you have all those apps on, and when you accept one, you have to turn the others off. It's not like you could be at 5 jobs and say, hey, I'm not going to, all of you other 4, I'm turning off. I'm working on this one now. So this W-2 thing that is a threat behind it. I hope all of you clearly see this would mean no more multi-apping, period. Because there's no way if it went to some kind of franchise or W-2, there's no way they're going to let you work 5 apps, because that breaks exactly what they're trying to do. So, and I guess this is again what the lawmakers are pushing for and what the federal government is pushing for. The apps want it both ways, and they're getting a little worried too, because they don't want franchise and employees. That's the biggest nightmare ever for them. But even Aska here, she's in Chicago, and she says Spark, that's Walmart Spark, clearly says that acceptance doesn't matter and won't stop our ability to correct. Same thing with Curry. Same thing even with Uber and Uber Eats, you guys. Your acceptance rate doesn't matter. It's just there as a psychological trick. On DoorDash, we know for a fact, it says it in the terms of service. It does matter. And they should not be doing that. They should not be saying, listen, if you do take over 80%, if you have an acceptance rate, 80% plus, 70% plus, 50% plus, you'll get in these tiers and you'll get the best offers. That's not independent contractorship. To me, that sounds like an employment role where it's like you're being treated better because you work harder. But it's not even about working harder. It's about working smarter. I don't want to take a $2 no tip order that goes 5 miles. That is a waste of my time. That is a waste of my gas. That is a waste of everything. Like, why would I do that? If I took 2 of those an hour, that's $4. And I think that too many people threw the grenade into the system and said, okay, $4, I want to be an employee because I can't make money doing this. You can. They're just using this is where I get confused. Why is DoorDash even doing this? Because they're tricking people into thinking you need to do this. It was a lot better. If somebody has a no tip offer, let them add a tip before it gets accepted. Don't have a system where it says, hey, you got to take these to be in the top tier. I don't know. I really just don't believe in any part of this. I believe all of the apps have their issues. Today I'm picking on DoorDash, and Saturday I was picking on DoorDash because DoorDash has taken it to a new low. They really have. I didn't even get to tell you this, Mike, but they have a thing out called Earn by Time now. It's not always available, but if you are dashing and you go on to a scheduled dasher to dash now, if you're a top dasher, and you turn on the app and you turn it on, sometimes it offers you Earn by Time. What that is it'll say, hey, we'll pay you $16 an hour for active time. Not when you're sitting there waiting for offers, for active time. And you'll get all the tips on top. But what they do is they give you the long orders, a lot of miles and this and that. And they get the ones out of the way that nobody will do for $16 an hour. But if you skip one, you can miss one per hour, like one offer. You can say, no, I don't want that. As soon as you decline 2, they kick you off the Earn by Hour.
It's like break management. No, you can't go to the bathroom that often. Like that's like.
And the Earn by Hour isn't even good. Most dashers that I know do much better than what that pay is. So to me, it's almost like they're testing the waters of employment there. They're seeing how low of a threshold can we get people to do these Earn by Times with. I mean, I've never seen ones that I would do, and my market pays 18 an hour, which is pretty much on the highest end when it is available. However, I wouldn't even do that because I wouldn't be dashing for $18 an hour. If I can't make $30 an hour, I'm not, at least potentially, and have that potential if I'm hustling, I don't want to do it. So, I mean, why would you just take this? I feel like people who were making good money are now like, man, I'm making only $12 an hour. They're offering me 17. Yeah, if you accept everything. If
Steve, we should tell them what we want them to do.
Yeah. I mean, is that something that, maybe that gets a little into the negative probably. So leave that out of the videos. Again, it's hard. I know it is, guys, but keep the videos positive. I'm going to put a Dropbox link up. I'm going to put it in this video. I'm going to put it on all the videos this week. It'll be, anything that's branded with me will probably have the link in it. So all you have to do is click the link, upload a video, make a 30 to 60 second video. And if you don't think that we can make a difference, Mike and I were talking about this, you guys, there are so many people in the app-based gig economy now. There are so many, part-time, full-time, doesn't matter, because the part-timers lose out too, because some of the part-timers I know only go out a couple nights a week and they multi-app. Well, they're going to lose that ability. So if they have a W-2, this won't work for them anymore. So
and yet they are one vote and they matter to the legislature, particularly when there are lots of them.
Yeah.
So if you're someone who works just 5-6 hours a week, some weeks nothing, some weeks twice as much, this is a good time to make specifically your voice and your situation known clearly to the legislature.
I mean, is it a negative? Let me just ask you this, Mike. Is it a negative for them to say, I only work 1 or 2 days a week because I can't pay all of my bills anymore on my W-2 alone, so I need this?
It's absolutely fine.
Okay, because I think of it as a positive, but I just want to make sure that doesn't sound negative.
Everybody in government is a full-timer, and they're a W-2. They work for the government, and they're not really clear why people would do something else. Government is paid well, and so we're telling them moonlighting is an okay thing. People do it. Working part-time jobs because you can't handle a full-time job, or my dad used to work 4 different jobs. Like, he was self-employed. He just did this and he did that, and he brought up 5 kids, and each of us has our own occupation that we need to support ourselves. And this is the chance to make it heard to someone who doesn't know what it's like to handle each day and pick the best opportunities for work and do those. So,
yeah, I mean, here's Christopher Taylor. Christopher Taylor's just south. He's just south of Phoenix, Arizona. I know Chris. He has a 98% acceptance rate, but I can only dash for an hour at a time, and all my orders. I mean, 98%. First of all, we all know this. That's extremely high. I mean, kudos, Chris. I don't even know how you do that because some of the orders are so bad. But our long distance, and I was just talking about this. So I only wind up with maybe 2 or 3 orders for the hour, right? And you're putting on a lot of miles, and you're supposed to be getting the cream of the crop. And even then, I really debate this because I don't think this is in any way allowed with anything even on the IRS website. That's what I was comparing to 13 minutes, the IRS website's definition of an independent contractor. And when I read it, it's 3 paragraphs. It's very short. When I read it, I was like, this is actually it's 180 degrees from what Doordash does. Like, literally, Doordash breaks every one of the ways that you determine currently, not under the new standard that's coming, but right now, even. They break every one. They have control. They have this. Like me being a bottom dasher, I cannot if I want to schedule a dash right now, I was telling Mike, I won't get one until maybe the weekend. And usually they come out 7 days in advance. Like, so right now, if I look 7 days in advance, until 2 p.m. here, the 7th day won't be available. Usually that's how I have to do it. At 2 p.m. today, I'd have to schedule for 7 days out because all the scheduling's gone. The blocks are gone. And there shouldn't even be that.
We have to convince people with our voices that this is a good way for us to support ourselves, and that most of our problems are, in fact, we're trying to get a fair contract. We're not trying to do it. Lost my train of thought. Anyway, so this is a way to make yourself heard to the legislature that they're going to take action. They're taking action in Massachusetts now, where I am, and they're going to take away the driver's rights to do anything at all. It's all going to be decided by the Department of Labor in Massachusetts, and that model is coming to your state. So this is important to you to make it clear that you want to be your own boss, that you want the freedom and flexibility to work for numerous platforms and to make your living that way, because life changes every single day for you, and it does for me too.
Yeah, and obviously your driver Ken here is bringing up a great point, because I hit on it all the time: transparency, because we don't have it. So, but he's asking for transparency is complaining ? Because he says, are drivers who work less asking for handouts? What's wrong with calling out the big time apps for stealing? Nothing, except for what we're asking for here today is meant to be positive, because potentially this database of videos gets into the hands of, like, if Mike just learned about what's going on in Massachusetts with the drivers and he lives there. We've been talking about this for a while, what they're trying to do. It's awful. It's awful what they're trying to do.
If we turn this into a forum for complaints, what's going to happen is that that will increase the power of the side that wants other control over us, which is the unions and government. Right now, you don't have to deal with them. That's giving them excuses to step in and go, look at these people with all these problems. We can solve it. We're the government. We have all the problem. The government is made up of unions, and those two work together. And this is the time to make it clear. No, I want to work independently. It's independent contractor. That's what I'm striving for.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying, Ken, is not wrong at all. You are 100% right. And yeah, I mean, they do, and it's horrible. But I feel like even some of the people who have written their congressmen and say, "Hey, Uber's stealing from me," exactly what Mike just said has already happened. That's why those, like when we had Senator Priola at the town hall here in Colorado, he showed up. We talked to him. He didn't have a clue, because he thought all the 500 letters he got from drivers saying Uber's stealing from me, and I want to make what everybody else. I want to be an employee. He thought all of us wanted to be employees. He didn't understand 500 do, 50,000 don't, because only the 500 wrote in and said something. Again, I'm just trying to point out why I think it's very important that they're positive. You know, again, I'm Christopher Taylor, or I'm Ken. I'm from such and such a city. And this is if you only do app work. I multi-app on Ship, DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub. I rely on those to make my income. I like the way that it works. I like being able to work for myself. I like being my own boss. I am able to make a living out of it, and I don't want to see my flexibility in terms change.
There you go.
See, and then think about this, you guys. Think about even a small percentage of gig workers, but the more and more that do it, the better. But think about a small percentage of all of our community. But we all did videos. These are like an arsenal of videos to show lawmakers. And Mike was talking about something that I want him to explain, because we often say, listen, write your legislators, write your congressman, write whoever. Even at driverrights.org, we have a way that it does it for you. And I'm not saying don't do all this stuff, but I feel like, Mike, you were talking about, like, we would like to believe you can always approach them. They're always listening. But right now, they are listening.
Right now, it's an election year. Most people are aware there's an election coming, And if you know how to listen for this, you realize, oh, the legislators are apprehensive about this election more than any. We've got two controversial candidates, look like they're going to head up the tickets. Neither one is going to go away. We have the major parties are closely balanced in the Congress in both houses. So your individual votes are going to matter much more this year than most, and we need to fight the big battle, which is that we want to continue to be independent, and you have to be able to say that so that they can hear your urge for independence, the demand for independence. Any mom should be helping us out with a video because she already has her bosses at home. She's got kids. They're like a boss, and she can't respond to both their kids' requirements and a boss and a union organizer at the same time. It's just impossible. So the way to establish this is with your voice saying, I want to be independent.
So yeah, here's another comment from Ken, just employee mindset. I hate that term. Again, see, even that, like, I'm not picking on just you, Ken. I'm just but like the word hate, don't use the word hate in your video. Be cautious of the words you're using. But I agree with this. Yes, of course, people in this are trying to do something for themselves. So
Patrice J just asked if she can do an audio. Sure. If that's how you'd like it, love it. We'll take care of it. And it's still your voice, Patrice, and we look forward to getting your experience and where you're coming from. Steve has got where we're going to say you can send it, but just say your first name, just like you have in the chat. Tell us what you do so that we can figure that out. Tell us why you'd like to be self-employed, and you're just a couple words of your story, and send it to Dropbox, and we'll take it from there.
And again, guys, the Dropbox link will be available here in like the next hour or two. And I'll put it into this video too, if you want to come back to this one, but anything I do this week, you'll find it in too. But Patrice, literally just take your phone. If you have an iPhone or an Android, just find one of the audio records, just record it, drop it. Take you all of however long it takes you to record it, really, because a dropping of an audio file or a 30-second video file takes under a minute. So
Bud Soda asks, I did one long ago. It never got any attention. Bud, we're on it.
Wait, Bud Soda, what you're talking about is different, though. What you did was you did a video on your YouTube channel. We're talking about compiling them so that if somebody says, hey, how do we know there's this many drivers in New York? Bud Soda's in Waterton, New York, upstate. And so he, your state's awful. This, Bud Soda. So, to be honest, this isn't, they're not going to find your channel. This is to have an arsenal ready. These are all the New York ones. Here you go.
If he's in Watertown, New York, I think that is Elise Stefanik's district. Yep. And that's a very, very important person to help explain and to offer personal stories to, because she has the forum. She's on the Education and Workforce Committee. She's leader of her party's caucus in the Congress. So, Bud Soda, let's do it again.
Yeah. And I was right. So he's saying that, he did a DD lowered base pay and it got tons of views. Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm not belittling that. I know Bud Soda very well. He's a friend of mine.
First, we have to establish that we want to work independently. After that, we can talk over the details.
It is. She passed pro-independent contractor laws
that are being overridden. Yes. She has many talents, and one is recruiting candidates. And what you want is for her to feel confident that recruiting candidates who are pro-independent contractor is the right way to go, and that it's an important issue. So, in fact, Bud Soda, this is a fabulous opportunity for you to get that voice of yours heard. I'm looking forward to this.
So, yeah, Ken, I knew this is a problem I already thought of too. I thought, man, a lot of people might go this way. So the thing is again, it's not a content creator coming on a live saying, hey, let's all bash on Doordash, because that really does get the steam going. And that's like more of a venting session. What we're saying is take the time. Like, this is a one-on-one. You're not going into a live stream. You're recording it in your car alone. This is you. And you're just saying what you want. I mean, nobody in YouTube, I'm not posting these on YouTube. These are for lawmakers to see. Because I think a lot of them don't believe there's as many of us who don't want to be what they think we all want to be, which is not the case. I mean, it's just not. You know, I mean, we've had to deal with a lot of stuff, and we still, those of us that are veterans, still stick around to deal with this stuff. I mean, even through the bad changes or good and bad and oversaturation, all this stuff, we still find ways to pick away at it. We don't want to see, I mean, I've said this a bunch. I know most of you feel the same way. Almost all of you. If it turns to a W-2 employee job, I have much better options than DoorDash or Uber. I do this because I can hustle. I can multi-app. I can do it in between other gigs that I do. And who knows what other options in your life may come up. I just think we're hitting a whole new way of living, and they're trying to pull us back to the Stone Age.
I couldn't agree more, Steve.
You know, it's like, I mean, they want us to be like, hey, you know, all this technology that's advancing everything really quick. Well, forget about that. Let's just go back to really bad pay, employment model, and really bad benefits, and your job's always at risk, and you're going to have 14 bosses and whatever. And it's like, well, yeah, but we do live in the technology age. You can't just use it for what you want. We're finding ways to use it too. So, yeah, most of the videos I use mention gig work, life in Central Missouri. Right. Again, these are not channel videos. These are videos that you will put into a Dropbox. I mean, you can put it on your channel if you want. It's up to you. Of course you can.
Put it in the Dropbox, and we'll distribute it, and we will tell you what we do with it.
I mean, like, it's, by the way, nothing's going to anybody, and it's just your first name and what town you live in, and then why you want to be independent. They need to hear that. They're not hearing that. We learned that at the town hall this summer here in Colorado with House Representative Stephanie Vigil. We had Congressman Priola, or Senator Priola, and we learned that Stephanie did, but Senator Priola didn't have a clue about anything we were talking about. Everything we told him, he was like, what? And I feel like that's what every senator and everything needs to hear right now, because they just don't know.
Bud Soda has another question. He says, catering and last mile seems to be relatively unaffected, but it won't be long before they come for them. Bud Soda, you're absolutely right. The Massachusetts has their ballot question law that they've proposed is that every what they call transportation network driver will be unionized and run by the state. So there won't be any segments. There won't be. It'll be like taxi work. Period. This is their goal all along. So your driver Ken wants to know where they can find the link. Steve, if they come back by 4:00 Eastern time, 2:00 Mountain.
You know what, guys? Give me an hour. I'll have it done in an hour.
Perfect. There's your answer.
In 1 hour from this live. So if you're watching this on replay, it's probably already in the show notes.
Excellent. All right.
Yeah. Because as soon as we're done here, which we're ending right now, this was just meant to get this out, because you guys, I was putting this up because we've tried this. We've tried, what does the letter do? And it should do a lot more than it does. But again, I'm going to bring in the tech industry. We live in a tech time. Mike and I, when I first was talking to Mike about this, he was saying, I don't think anybody's done this before. This is great. Let's do this. And so I think the video format is like a better way to file them away.
They're not because it's like we get two good ones. We're going to use them.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you guys, I think that one of the things that worries me the most, I was even saying this to Mike, and I know Mike experiences this every day, is that too many people don't think their voices are heard.
But they're silent when they think that.
Right. But I mean, really, like I talk to people all the time who are like, I've never written a congressman. I never will. Like, I'm thinking that's what kind of led me to this. Like, okay, well, I know all of you can talk into your phone. So why don't you just make a 30-second video and let Mike and I do the legwork of seeing where we can, whose throat we can put it down, you know, and make them listen. Like, that's all you have to do. Your part is just to make a video about you and why you would like to do this. So, I mean, with that said, I don't know. You guys, I think that, and Bud Soda, you said it too. I mean, Mike was just reading your thing that, you know, that last mile and all this aren't affected, but will be. Yeah, of course they will be. And that's the thing. Like, I don't want all this wrecked for not just me, but everybody, man. Like, and I think the ones that like DoorDash on the extreme end who have completely already destroyed it and are pushing an employee model, as far as I'm concerned, I'm afraid of other people following them. So it's time to slap them back into their spot and let them know, no, this is not acceptable. Because we all know that during the pandemic, when they really started booming, there was no metrics. Just get on. We'll give you all the orders. And it stayed like that after the pandemic. It wasn't, you know, until a year or so, 2 years ago, they started coming up all these programs like Top Dasher and all these, like now these levels. And it's now they're really pushing it because we were nothing short of I mean, almost like, you know, not first responders, but people like necessity, especially in the beginning of the pandemic. And so we got to get back to, they can do it how they want, but we got to get rid of these acceptance ratings. We got to get rid of the metrics that aren't used in any other independent contractor field.
Steve, let's go set up that Dropbox link and let them have it. I have confidence that they'll do this.
I do too. And you guys, that's all we wanted to say today. So, please come back in an hour if you were here now. And then if you're watching on the replay, just look into the show notes. You'll find it. And then I'll put it in all the other things we're doing this week too. It's time that we get this done though. It really is.
We can do it.
So, Mike, thank you. And you guys, I'll keep you updated too on how many we're getting. Maybe if we start getting a lot, I'll tell you, maybe that'll amp some more of you to get this done too. So with that said, thank you for joining us here. I know this was a relatively short one, but we just wanted to get this information out. And yes, Ken, 30 seconds will do, but anything up to a minute. I don't think anybody needs more than a minute. If you do, I mean, I guess go for it, but just don't make it too long.
They can sell that extra minute.
Yeah. Yeah, just get your point across.
Yeah.
If it takes 40 seconds, great. So with that said, guys, let's make this difference though. And I know because there was striking, protesting, you can't strike if you're not an employee. So we've got to find a different way. And this is a way where people will listen. So we will make sure that people are seeing these. So watch for the link. I'm going to go work on it right now. Thank you, Mike. Thank you everybody for watching.
Thanks, Steve.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Okay.
Peace.
She was just a baby. Ain't no way.